Okay, so here we go, and this is probably going to be my last video I make with my cheap Suzuki Bandit back there, because now that thing is running, riding and road legal. It's time to get it clean, tidy and up for sale. So over the last couple of months, if you've been following my videos that I've been doing with this bike, you'll have seen me swap a cheap, nasty Chinese brand 125 motorbike for this Bandit. And I've fixed and repaired all the problems that I found with this bike as and when I found them. So you'll have seen me replace the heel plate and the gear linkage, not once, but twice. You'll have also seen me replace the headlight and all the wiring to go with it. And as well as those bits, I've obviously in the last video replaced the rear tyre, rear suspension arm, front forks and the front brake pads, all in order to get this thing back on the road. So with the bike actually back on the road and no mechanical issues left to fix, that only leaves the cosmetic bits that need doing. Now, cosmetically, this bike is pretty rough. You know, you've got scuffs, scrapes, pretty bad one there. It's fairly dirty all over. It obviously hasn't had a good clean in a while. Need to try and get some of that off there. Maybe touch something up there. And obviously on the rear cowling, we've got this nasty crack there. So in order to take this bike up another notch and obviously try and get the best money that I can for it when I actually do sell it, I need to fix as many of those little issues as I can. So I'm going to jump straight in and tackle that rear cowling. So in order to do any sort of fix with the rear cowling, I need to take it back off. So seat off, I've got a bolt and 3 Allen bolts to do, and then same on the other side. So let's get that ripped off. So with that now removed and the tail light taken out of it, let's look at what I am planning on doing for the repair. So I know people were probably hoping that I would do an actual repair on that panel and stick something behind it and then filler over the top of it and maybe throw some paint over it or respray the whole thing. I don't know, but right now I do not have the time or the skills for that because I've never actually fillered or painted anything, and this is not the right project to be learning to do that on. So what I've actually got is an entire replacement cowling. Now I know what you're thinking, the cowling is blue and the bike is silver. It's gonna look odd, but in my opinion I think an intact blue one is going to look better than a broken silver one that matches the bike. Okay, so tail light is in the replacement cowling. One thing I nearly did forget then, I actually went to put it back on. Forgot to pop out all these little rubber grommets from the old one and put them into the new one, so that was a little bit fiddly, but that is now done and it's ready to go on the bike. Okay, the blue one is on, and I mean the jury's out on that one. I'm not totally in love with it. I don't completely hate it. I mean, I think it looks better than the cracked one. I don't know, I'll leave that up to you to decide. So, rear cowling on, love it or hate it, I'm calling that fixed. What I will do though is whoever buys this bike from me will get the original one, and it will be up to them if they want to put that back on or fix it or whatever, but I'm going to count that as fixed. Okay, so with the rear cowling done, I've now got the bike outside and I'm going to give it its first wash in possibly years. So it's going to get the full works, it's going to get a good bit of love today, and we're going to see just how clean that bike can be at the end of this. Okay, with the bike all soaped up, washed down and mostly dry, it is time to do a little bit of polishing on all of those panels. So as per usual, a good mop and polish has made a big difference. That thing is now looking nice and clean and sharp. Obviously it wasn't super dirty to begin with, it just had, just needed a good bit of love and some soap. Now, there's probably some of you out there watching this thinking, why on earth are you polishing all of that when you've still got lots of dings and scratches and things to actually fix on this? Well, the simple answer is I'm not actually going to be doing any more of the cosmetics on this bike. And the simple answer for why I'm not doing it is there is simply just too much or too many to do on this. If I start sanding parts down and painting bits or touching bits up, I'll be there forever doing this bike. And obviously it's already been with me for the best part of 2 months and the logbook is now here. So it is time for me to get this thing moving on. I have brought this bike, a hell of a way from when I first traded to get it. I've literally saved it from the scrapyard because that is basically where it was headed otherwise. So now it is time to get it listed and up for sale because quite frankly, in the spirit of full transparency, I could really do with a payday on this bike because I'm still a small channel. I need to keep things moving to keep funding new projects, and I've got some exciting things coming up next month that I could really do with this thing out of the way and this thing funding them. So with that said, let's get this thing listed on Facebook Marketplace so that it's officially up for sale. I think I'm going to ask for about £1,000 and take maybe a good offer on that because I think this bike is worth it. Mechanically, it's sound, it's low mileage. Yes, it's got a bit of a shady past, but it'll make a perfect winter hack for someone. So before it sells, I guess it is time to start adding up what it's actually cost me. So I haven't got a fancy whiteboard or anything, and even if I did, my handwriting's so bad you wouldn't even be able to understand it. So let's start. The bike I traded to get this Bandit was worth £130. Well, that's what it actually owed me. So we start at £130. Then there was the heel plate and linkage, which all in cost me £30 to fix. So that's £160. Then there was the headlight and the wiring, which was £55. And of course the logbook fee, which was £25. And there was the cost of the MOT, which I think was £29. Obviously with the first test, which it failed. So to get it through the MOT, I needed some parts, which I bought a lower suspension arm, which cost me about £19. I also bought some front brake pads, which were about £12.50. I bought a rear brake light switch, which was about £9.50. I bought a rear tyre, which came on the rim, which was £30. And I bought some brand new second-hand front forks. They were £40. And while I was doing the front forks, I messed up a bolt on the fender, so a couple of brackets to put those back on cost me £10. And of course, I put on the blue rear cowling, which I actually paid £17 for, so random figure, but that's what I paid for it. So I'm pretty sure that was all of the costs and all the money I spent on this bike, which brings the grand total to £407. And for a running, riding, low mileage Suzuki Bandit with a 12-month MOT, that is absolute steal. But it does get better than that because I've actually sold the headlight, so my old headlight unit that I took off and replaced, sold that on eBay for 35 quid. I've also just sold the rear rim that came with the new tyre because obviously I just took the tyre off the rim and had it fitted to the one that was already on the bike. So I sold that rim for £20 on eBay as well. So that's £55 to come off the total cost of the bike. So that brings the cost of the bike down to £352. And if I go back even further than that, and you go back to when I started this series, I traded a cheap, nasty 125 motorbike for the Bandit. Now that bike owed me about £130. However, I bought that as a pair of bikes. And in an earlier video, when we looked at me selling the pair of bikes or selling one of them and trading one of them, I sold one of those bikes for £500. So I was already in profit by the time I'd traded the cheap 125 for the Suzuki. So if you want to look at it that way, you could even take off the 130 quid that I spent trading for the Bandit. But then that's probably going over the top and digging into it a bit too deeply. But on the overall series, there's going to be a nice profit at the end. What yet? I don't know because obviously the Bandit is still here. I've not sold it yet. But let's jump to Facebook, let's get that for sale, and then we'll cut back in a minute when it has actually sold. Okay, so it's been just over a week with the Bandit for sale. I have, in fact, had a haircut and a big tidy up here in the workshop. And unfortunately, the Bandit is still with me. It has not sold yet, which is a real shame because the bike is looking, I would say, the best it's looked in quite some time. I mean, I know it's still got a few cosmetic issues around the front, but generally it is a lot cleaner and tidier. And of course, it's got a full MOT. I had it up for sale for £1,100, hoping somebody would make me an offer somewhere around 1,000. I did have one guy offer me 900, but he never showed up. And now I've obviously reduced the advert price to £1,000, and I am hoping to get an offer. Anything over £800 would be a nice profit on that bike. But obviously, that offer has not come in yet, so the Bandit will be staying put. But for the purpose of wrapping up this video and the series with the Bandit, we're just going to assume that I sold it for £800 because I'm not going to accept an offer of any less than that because I think it's got to be worth at least £800 to have a low mileage Bandit that's, you know, fully roadworthy. Now, I might still get lucky and find somebody who really likes it and offers me more than £800, but for the purpose of this, we're just going to say £800, and that leaves me with a profit of about 450 quid from this bike. Now, if I'd spent more time and obviously fixed those cosmetic issues, I probably would get a much higher price, maybe over the 1,000, but that's not what I wanted to do right now. For where I am right now and for where this channel is, I'm not a guy who does full restorations, or anything of the sort. I'm literally just a guy with no mechanical experience, having a go at flipping cheap bikes and cars just to make a quick profit and obviously to keep them on the road. I'm not saying I'm never going to have a go at fully restoring something or doing a bit more like body work on something, but right now I just need to keep flipping things and keep quickish profits coming in so I can keep the lights on and keep this channel going. Now, I'm really pleased with the results from this project, not just with what I've learned, and obviously I'm going to make a little bit of money on it, but with the growth of this channel that's come with doing these projects. Like 3 months ago when I picked up the 2 bikes that I traded one of to get the Bandit, I had barely 100 subscribers, and now 3 months later, I've just got over 2,500 of you who enjoy what I do enough to actually subscribe to the channel, and over 200,000 people have actually watched all of my videos, which is just insane. So with that said, I just want to really thank all of you so much who've actually taken the time to watch my videos and support my channel, and just generally been along on this crazy ride that I've been on for the last few months. So with the series of my 2 cheap bikes and my cheap Bandit now wrapped up, you might be thinking, what's next for the channel? But if you look around behind me, there is plenty of stuff still going on and all coming in the next few months. Got my 2 super cheap wrecked scooters over here that I introduced on the channel last week. Still got my off-road buggy to go. Got the abandoned pit bikes that I know a lot of you are keen to see me get on with. And I've got a video coming with a Volvo that I'm saving from the scrapyard, which is not here right now. You've probably seen that in the background of some previous videos. And in a couple of weeks' time, I've got a big video coming out with a special guest to help me celebrate 1 year of my channel. And I think most of you will enjoy that because I know most of my regular viewers already watch his YouTube channel as well. So no hints as to who it is, but you might be able to guess. There is still plenty to come, and all of the money I make from the sale of that Bandit will be rolled back over into funding all the other projects that have still got to come on this channel. So, if you're not already subscribed to my channel, then now is the time to hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss anything I've got coming over the next few months. And as always, thank you all so much for watching.